I'd like to welcome everybody to Italian Steakhouse. Thank you everybody for coming. I want to welcome Rabbi Greenbaum from Yerushalayim to speak about Rabbi Nachman's Megillat Ketarim. We're going to have a short introduction, and then we're going to eat, and then we're going to talk again. So we're just going to start out. Please everybody welcome. Also want to thank Effie, Ephraim, beautiful gentleman, nice man.
Thank you.
And of course it's Tzaddik, but to me he's a nice guy. Enough for me. And I love this place. Thank you so much. Abraham Greenbaum.
If anybody wants to move over.
If you want to move closer, you can move closer, but they're going to be eating.
I'd like to start by giving thanks to Effie and Talia's Steakhouse for making it possible to talk about Rabbi Nachman of Breslov here on the Upper West Side of Manhattan tonight. And this is really my favorite subject, since Rabbi Nachman is my favorite Rebbe. And I'm going to be talking about the messianic aspect of Rabbi Nachman. I'm going to start right now by talking about the messianic spirit that actually breathes through Rabbi Nachman's Torahs and through his career. And then, after a short break, I'll be talking about Rabbi Nachman's secret scroll, the Megillat Starim, known to the Breslover Hasidim through the literature of Breslov, a work that has, in the very recent last 2 years, come to the forefront of the attention of the public with the publication of a purported decipherment of Rabbi Nachman's, of the manuscript of an account that Rabbi Nachman gave in the year 1806 about exactly how Melech HaMoshiach will be revealed in the world. But before I come to that subject, which I'll speak about in detail after the short break when we are eating, I would like to start with the completely messianic quality of Rabbi Nachman's writings. Let me start by saying that it is known by tradition that the name of Moshiach is Menachem, and the letters of the name Nachman are almost the same as the letters of Menachem. The only difference is that one of them has a double mem and the other has a double nun, but they're both from the same root. And surely the soul of Nachman and the soul of Menachem is all really one soul. And we see that the central concept in all of the writings of Reb Nachman is that the whole purpose of life in this world is to find truth, and through the truth to connect with HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and that the only way to find the truth in this world is through a man of truth who has overcome the dangers and challenges of this world, and who is the tzaddik emes, the true tzaddik. And it's clear from the study of Likutei Moharan, it's explicit in the writings of Reb Avram, Reb Nachman, the outstanding commentator on Likutei Moharan, in his klalim, his rules for the understanding of Likutei Moharan, which are the beginning of his commentary on Likutei Moharan, the Biur HaLikutim. It's clear from the rules of Reb Avram, Reb Nachman, that wherever Reb Nachman in Likutei Moharan refers to the tzaddik or emes, he is referring to a tiny handful of tzaddikim throughout history, and the list could be written as follows. It would be Moshe Rabbeinu, Rashbi, Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, Arizal, Rabbi Yitzhak Luria, the 16th century Kabbalist, Baal Shem Tov, and Reb Nachman himself. This is clear from a Sicha of Reb Nachman that is contained in Chayei Moharan, the account of Reb Nachman's life by Reb Nassim, which I'm going to be talking a bit about today in the context of the wider discussion of the secret scroll. It is clear from a Sicha of Reb Nachman, when he enumerated the tzaddikim who really made a revolutionary change on Judaism, he said there was Rashbi himself was a chidush. This is known, it's obvious. Rashbi himself said that with the work of the Holy Zohar, Israel will go out of exile. Reb Nachman said that from Rashbi until Arizal there was no Chidush. From Arizal till Baal Shem Tov there was no Chidush. And he concluded that conversation by saying, now there is a flowing brook, the source of wisdom. And the verse that he quoted from Mishlei, Nachal Noveh Makor Chochmah, the 4 words of that phrase, Nachal Noveh Makor Chochmah, the flowing brook, the source of wisdom, the Rosh Tevas, the initial letters make up the name Nachman. So Reb Nachman's writings are about attachment to the true tzaddik. It was for the sake of attachment to the true tzaddik that Reb Nachman's own Hasidim came to him. They were people on outstanding levels. If they'd not come to Reb Nachman, they would have been tzaddikim and rebbes in their own right. One of the earliest of Reb Nachman's Mekuravim, Reb Yudel, was already a rebbe and a Mekubal when he came to Reb Nachman. Rabbi Kusiel, the Maggid of Terhovitz, was a man in his 80s when he came to Reb Nachman. He already had a string of 80 towns that were his Hasidim, and he completely gave himself over to Reb Nachman. When an 80-year-old Rebbe and a leader gives himself over to a young man in his just out of his teens and his early 20s, that tells us about the supreme greatness of Reb Nachman. Reb Nachman was one of those tzaddikim who was a prodigy. Reb Nachman is said to have said that at the age of 13 he already had attained the levels of Baal Shem Tov. His first chassid he gained at the age of 13 when he'd gone to the town where he was to be married, and according to the story, on the day of his wedding he checked out all of the young people in the town. He'd come from another town. He was going to be living here with his bride-to-be. He wanted to know who he'd have a chaverim with, and he was checking out all the young people by posing as if he was really much more interested in having a nice lifestyle and leading the good life. And so he would spoke privately to each one of the young people to check out where his thoughts really were. And there's only one who protested that the only way to live in this world is through fear of God and attachment to God. This was Rabbi Shimon, who was then aged 18, who became the Rebbe's Shamus. He later asked the Rebbe to let him be the Rebbe's Shamus in the Garden of Eden, and it is thought that Rabbi Shimon was the one who accompanied the Rebbe on his journey to Eretz Yisrael, and this was when Reb Nachman himself was aged 13. He actually came out into the light a bit in his teens, when the first time that he really shone was when his father-in-law, who once was so upset with him for wasting his time and not learning Torah, and why did the father-in-law marry his daughter to this Nachman just because of his yichus to Baal Shem Tov. So one time the father-in-law had a yahrzeit for his father, and he asked his son-in-law Nachman to say the Mishnayos after Ma'ariv at the service, and during the saying of the Mishnayos the father-in-law dozed off, and while Rav Nachman was saying the Mishnayos, the soul of the father was actually present at the table, and the father-in-law just fainted out of the intensity. And then they gave Rav Nachman some wine to drink, and he started pouring out Kiddushei Torah, the like of which nobody had heard. And we see in Reb Nachman's writings that the encounter with the true tzaddik brings a person to his or her own pathway of truth, and that you have to hear Torah from the greatest tzaddik possible. It's not worth attaching yourself to a good, ethical, wise person. You've got to go to the top. The biggest cholim, the worst sick people, need the greatest tzaddik, and therefore the concept of the true tzaddik recurs over and over, woven into the Torah.